Good morning, my dear students of grade 12. Today, I am going to begin with the line by line explanation of the poem titled An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. Children, yesterday I talked about the poet and also about the American Civil War. You know why I gave you the background and why I have talked about the poet? Because you must know the period and the circumstances under which a poet composes a poem, children. So if you have not watched that video, please go and watch it so that you will have a better understanding of what I am explaining today. I shall be taking up the first two stanzas of the poem. So let us begin, children. Children, I hope all of you have got your textbooks in front of you. Now, before we move on to the poem, children, we see that there is a question asked in the very beginning. Please read that question. Please read it to yourself. Have you ever visited or seen an elementary school in a slum? Now, what do you mean by an elementary school, children? The initial years or the, a primary school, an elementary school, the beginner's school, and that too in a slum. Have you ever seen one? What does it look like, children? Try to create a picture in your mind, children. Try to create it. What does it look like? If you see the image given on page number, this is page number 93, children. On page number 93, you can see the makeshift school, children. It is not a pakka building, okay? It's a kacha building. And pay attention to the roof. There is no proper playground. There is not any facility that the children can avail. Okay, I'll show you how a school in a slum looks like. Children, if you pay attention to this picture, you can see the children all studying together. Okay, the children in the slums have a very difficult life, children. They have to struggle. There is lack of hope and optimism. Even here they are struggling. If I say the word struggle, that they have to struggle a lot. Don't you see in this picture also, children, they are struggling. They are devoid of opportunities. What are they struggling for? They are struggling for space. The children, they are all sitting squeezed together, isn't it? So they are far away from a life that can be called a cakewalk. They lack amenities and opportunities. They are unwanted as weeds. Now this is a line that is there in the poem. They are unwanted as weeds. Children, the schools, if I talk about the schools, children, they are mostly confined to one room. See, there are so many students in one room. Can you see their appearance? Some of them, it appears as if they have not even bathed. Shabbily dressed, hair all strewn over their face. Isn't it? So they are like unwanted weeds. And the schools, they are confined to one room. They paint a dismal picture. Children, this is a very sad picture painted, or a dismal picture, a hopeless picture. The infrastructure is so ailing that they are forced to squeeze in one bench. Single teacher plays different roles. The walls are shabby and they want renovation of infrastructure. So this is how the children are struggling for their right to education. which is a right, children, isn't it? But they are devoid of it. So this is a bitter reality of the society even today. Now let us move on to the poem, children. While I am explaining, pay attention and take down the notes, children. Keep a pencil in your hand. Whatever I am explaining, listen to it very, very carefully. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces. Again, pay attention. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces. Children, gusty waves over here, what does it mean? Gusty waves means breezy. Gusty means breezy. And what does breezy here symbolize, or what does it stand for? Passionate. Passion. Okay, I'll ask you to just turn your books to page number 90. You have done this poem, right? My Mother at 66. Just pay attention. 1, 2, 3, 4. 13th. Yes. Just come on to the 13th line, children. See what's written over here. Trees sprinting, the merry children spilling. You know, over here, children, it's a metaphor used. The children, they have been compared to merry children who are spilling out of their homes, and even the trees sprinting has been used in reference to the children. What does it symbolize? The enthusiasm, the energy, the vigor that the children have in them. Why? Because they are young, because they are full of hope, they are full of enthusiasm, vigor. These are all synonyms that I am using, children. And the children are spilling out of their homes. What do you mean by spilling out of their homes? They cannot be controlled inside their home. They cannot be, forcefully kept inside their homes. They have to be let out in the open so that they can use their energy. They have to use their energy somewhere. But here the picture is just the opposite. See what's written in this poem. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, means these children who are there sitting inside the slum, they lack that vigor, that passion, that enthusiasm which should reflect on their face. So these children's faces, it is far removed from that passion, that energy, that vigor, that enthusiasm that should rightfully reflect on a child's face. Okay? And gusty waves over here is symbolizing those passion, it's symbolizing the passion, the energy that should reflect on these children's faces. Like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. The tall girl with her weighed down head. Okay, they have also been compared to rootless weeds. Children, what do you mean by rootless? Rootless means without support. If you try to plant a sapling without a root, what will happen? Will there be any support? No, it will not be able to grow. Why? Because it will not receive or get the desired nourishment. Okay, so these children, they have been compared to rootless weeds. See, like rootless weeds. Poetic device used here, children, simile. When we make comparison using as or like, it is simile. So like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Torn round their pallor means strewn across their dull face. Children, pallor means a dull face. Okay? Colorless, dull face. Now, because they are devoid of energy, that passion, that vigor, that enthusiasm, that charm, which should be there reflecting on these children's faces, they have been therefore compared to weeds. Weeds are unwanted plants. What do? to these weeds, children. When they grow with healthy plants, we pull out these weeds, isn't it? Because they are unwanted plants that are growing with the healthy ones. So these children, they have been compared to these unwanted weeds, and they are rootless, devoid of any nourishment. They don't have that support. They don't have that backup plan with them, right? They don't have that support. The hair torn round their pallor. Torn round means scattered or strewn round over across their dull colorless face. Now the poet is talking about the children who are there inside the class. What does he say about them? The tall girl with her weighed down head. The paper seeming boy, keep underlining, children. The tall girl with her weighed down head. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. So the poet is talking about a tall girl, and she is physically and emotionally exhausted, children. See, the tall girl with her weighed down head. Underline weighed down head. Over here, that tall girl has quite bent down. She is physically and emotionally exhausted as she is burdened with responsibilities. Isn't it? Girls, children, they are not sent to school. Why? Because they are considered to be a helping hand at home. But still, she was lucky enough to come to school. But then, she was weighed down. She was physically and emotionally exhausted as she was shouldering responsibilities. She was burdened with responsibilities. The paper seeming boy. Children, paper seeming boy means what? Very thin. Very thin boy. So the paper seeming boy, it's a metaphor, children. Okay, the paper seeming boy with rat size. Children, rat size over here is a metaphor. Have you ever observed a rat? Have you ever observed a rat? What about its eyes? Have you paid attention to its eyes? Do it for once. You will always see that his eyes are never steady. They keep on moving, as if it's very alert. Alert about the predators. Okay. So, the rat's eyes over here has been used as a metaphor. So, the thin boy has eyes like that of a rat. Like a rat is always terrified, is always in that defensive mood, is always searching for food, those scavenger-like habits, attitude, that paper seeming boy is reflecting. There is hunger gleaming in his eyes, reflecting in his eyes, and he is always terrified. Okay. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones. Children, one more explanation that we can give for the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes could be that it's a metaphor that is conveying the anxiety and nervousness of the boy, children. Please write it down, children. You may write this down. The rat's eyes over here is a metaphor that conveys the anxiety and nervousness of the boy, and hence it is always terrified. He is always terrified. Okay, he is always terrified. The boy, that paper seeming boy. Okay. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease. Now, children, here this is a third boy that the poet is talking about. The stunted. Stunted means who could not grow. Okay. He couldn't grow because he did not receive the correct nourishment during his growing years. So, he had a stunted growth. Unlucky heir. Unlucky heir. Heir means, children, the next generation. Okay. So he was unlucky. Why is he unlucky? Because of the twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease. Children, now gnarled disease is a disease of twisted bones. Now father's gnarled disease. The boy has been considered as unlucky because instead of wealth, instead of property, what has he inherited from his father? It's a disease. It's a gnarled disease. The disease of twisted bones. Got it? Father's gnarled disease. Father's disease. What does it symbolize? Just as paralysis is hereditary, so is mental shackles of poverty. Please write it down, children. This poem is highly symbolic. Gnarled disease means what? Twisted bones. A condition of paralysis, children. So like paralysis is hereditary over here, it is being shown that he has inherited this disease of twisted bones, which is a kind of a paralysis, from his father. And he is reciting it. Reciting it means one can see it clearly. So he is unlucky, he is unfortunate, for he has inherited this disease instead of property or wealth. Okay. His lessons from his desk. And what is he doing? He is reciting his lessons from his desk. It's a genetic disorder, children, that forces him to be confined to his desk. He cannot move about because he has got this disease of gnarled disease, and he is forcefully confined to his desk from where he is reciting his lessons. Why is the boy unlucky? Because instead of wealth or property, what has he inherited? This disease of twisted bones. Okay. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. Now, at the back of the class, children, a backbencher was sitting of the dim class. Dim class means what, children? The environment inside the classroom was quite dull and depressing. It was not lively, it was not enthusiastic inside, right? Nobody showed any enthusiasm. So it was very dull, it was very depressing. So at the back of the dim class, dull and depressing class, dim over here means one unnoted, sweet and young. So unnoted means he is different. He is different from the majority. He is sweet, he is young. And why is he sweet and young? Because there is some hope in his eyes. He is different. He is different from the others. And if he is different, that means it is a symbol of hope. It is a symbol of change. And it is a symbol of freedom or liberation from this dull, depressive and hopeless life. Okay. And hence this child is unnoted. Unnoted means very different from others. He is not similar to others. He is unnoted. He is very different. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game. Children, his eyes live in a dream. Okay, if I read this line over here, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game. Children, which character in the story does this line remind you of? You have done a lesson. You have done this lesson. Think of those characters. Two boys you have read about. In which lesson have you read about these two boys? You will be writing down the names. You can inbox me your reply. Okay. So his eyes live in a dream. There is hope in his eyes. He dreams. He imagines. Okay. And children, dreams. If you dare to dream, will you work to achieve it? So everything starts with a dream. So even if this boy is dreaming, that means he has some hope. And what is that hope? That there will come a change. There will be a liberation from this dull and depressing world. Of squirrel's game. Children, now see earlier, now squirrel. If I talk about a squirrel, what kind of an animal is squirrel, children? Very lively, full of energy, sprinting, jumping with joy, isn't it? So that child also, children, has been compared to, now he wants to be like a squirrel, go out in the open and enjoy the games like a squirrel plays, the tree games. He wants to enjoy those tree games. He wants to be free. He wants to go out in the open because there is hope, there is dream in his eyes. So what does he dream of? Those squirrels games in tree room. He dares to dream. Other than this means apart from this classroom. So other than this, he does not want to stay in that dreadful classroom. In fact, he wants to go out in the open and enjoy the tree games like a squirrel. And hence, he dares to dream. And hence, we say that he dares to dream and he is different from all the other children sitting inside the class. Okay, so please go through this stanza once again, children. If there is any doubt, please ask me. You can hear the recording again. If there is any doubt, please ask me. Let's move on to the next stanza, children. Or I'll do one thing. I am ending this class here only. You go through the first stanza, and if there is any doubt, please feel free to ask. I will go slow with this poem because this is a highly symbolic poem, children. So I'm ending my lecture, my class here only. In the next class, I think we will have a live class. I'll again take up this poem. I will be clearing your doubts and I will be even talk about the poetic devices in this first stanza. I shall now take your leave, children. Thank you and have a good day.